All right, 3, 2, 1. We are here. We are live.
What's up?
Waza. Well, do you remember this show? There was a movie back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It was Born in East LA, and it had on a teach from Cheech Marin. And he had to teach people to speak English, and he'd teach them to say what's happening, and he's like, they're all like, "What's happening?"
I do remember that vaguely. Yeah, I'm bad about movies like that. Like Clint, man, he knows movies right off the top of his head.
Well, he's Mr. IMDb.
He is. He is.
All right. Well, listen, we are anxiously waiting the arrival of one KD Kevin Dixie. We've had a few people hop in, and Santee TV is here, and Gun Websites, G-Webs is here.
Drum roll, please.
Ladies and gentlemen.
There he is.
He looks
hey, guys, sorry about that. Just getting here right at 8 o'clock. I was having a conversation. How is everyone?
Phenomenal. How are you, sir?
No, just dandy. Can't complain.
Excellent. Living the dream, man. Living the dream.
I like your thing on the wall back there. That looks nice. I like that.
No, well, I like yours as well, sir.
Oh, thank you. I always forget I have that stuff back there. It's like, are they real guns or are they props? Is it a fake wall like this one?
Huh? Doesn't matter. Just don't touch them.
Yeah,
just exactly.
Yeah.
Just don't touch them.
Pink has pushed that issue a couple weeks ago.
Last week, yeah, a couple weeks ago. That was pretty funny. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight on the Meet the Pressers Riding Shotgun with Charlie show, we have Kevin Dixie, KD, as everyone knows him, from NOC, No Other Choice Firearm Training. And it's great to have you, Kevin. It's good to see you, man.
Man, it's good to see you guys, man. Good to see you and catch up with you. And we got an hour to have a chat. It's always a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
For sure. And the giveaway code for the Mantis X10 that we will be giving away, $250 value, is NOC.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So.
Yes, it is. It is.
All you need to do is go to meetthepressers.com/giveaway, enter in your information and NOC, and you could be entered to win.
Good. We've already got some people chiming in. We've got Steve, Don, and DJ Playnice. DJ Playnice, didn't he win last week?
He did.
Can he win this week? Is he entering the contest again?
I guess so.
All right. All right. Well, just before the end of the show, KD, we're going to Matt's going to go through all the emails. He's going to pick a number, and whatever the number is the number of the person that is going to win the Mantis.
Okay.
Yeah. So Chris Cook is. I think that's my sister, Christina Cook. She, nice. I got to tell you, if it is my sister, she is a brand new gun owner. She bought a gun about 3 weeks ago down in South Carolina, and I'm going to throw my sister right under the bus now that we're here live. So she bought. I know, right? She bought something, and then afterwards she decided. She went shooting, and then she went out with an instructor, which is great to do. She decided the gun was too small for her hand. So I'm like, yeah. But anyway, so Chris is here. Beth Alcazar, she's our first guest from this show. Mark Lindblom's here. He's been here a couple of times. Brian Harris is here.
Yep. Brian says howdy.
Hello, everyone.
It's good to see everybody. And then Don
he's like,
it's his turn.
Yeah, it's my turn. I got to win. That's what he says.
Right.
Yeah.
Goodness. Totally. I just want one last thing about my sister. I did the good brother thing. When my sister bought a gun, I found out what caliber it was in. I bought her some dummy rounds. I bought her a speed loader. I bought her some spare magazines. John Petrolino sent her his decoding firearm book. Nice. And there could be another one on the way eventually. Another book from another author. So this is what people do. Gun folks are the greatest folks. And when we have someone in our inner circle that wants to get involved, that finally sees the light and wants to do something, we set them up with things that maybe we wish we had when we started shooting. So it's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
How many books are you going to be doing, Katie? I know you're rolling out some this year, right?
Yeah, that was my plan. I have two that I want to get churned out. So I'm hoping to have one done by the end of the year and maybe one by mid to late next year. Absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah, just got to find the time to sit and focus on it, and get some writing down. But the ideas are out. The book script is out. I just need to sit down in a quiet place and get it done.
That's actually interesting. I watched some YouTube video where somebody was talking about being able to move that to Audible, so you can have it in Audible format and a bunch of other formats, and it's like one of the fastest growing ways to get books out there because people are listening to books. I mean, I've done it when I travel and drive. I'm listening to books left and right. So I'd rather listen to a book than read a book. Technically,
I'm the exact opposite. I like to read.
Yeah, my wife's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
favorite thing is to hold a book and read a book and have a cigar while I'm doing it. That's like very relaxing to me.
Nice. A glass of wine is what my wife does. Glass of wine and reads a book.
Nice. I have a hard time with the books on tape or audiobooks because I cannot focus on anything.
Really?
So that's
in fairness, I do find myself going, hitting the back button. I was thinking of something else. What did they say? So, we got a few signups so far for the contest, so that's good. So what else is on the horizon, Katie? What else you got going on? Books?
The big thing is Train and Learn that is coming up. That's my biggest, the latest new adventure. Train and Learn is a 3-day professional development event for the freedom community, whether it's a firearms YouTuber, writer, blogger. This is something that I wanted to do. The only thing that sucks about it this year is that NRA decided to plop the NRAM convention on the same weekend once they rescheduled it from last year, but we're still going to push forward with it regardless. So we're going to get down there. We're going to get with some good freedom-minded folks that still come from different backgrounds, different experiences. We're going to get them educated on behind-the-scenes business, marketing. We got a lot of great people that do that in this realm and other realms that are coming in and share their expertise. We're going to also have some speed dating with instructors, if you will. We're going to have Ryan and Amber from Fit to Fight coming out, teaching some hand-to-hand stuff. In case that gun isn't available, you need to defend yourself in other ways. We have Akil Bay with Taylor Defense Training Group is coming out to teach us about medical. Over 2 decades as a Green Beret, I think he might know a thing or two about, medical, and he's an active paramedic now. So he'll be teaching us. We have a Prevectors Group instructor. Kurt is going to come up, teach us about pistols. And then we have Bear from Bear Code Training, also part of the PDN network and part of the tour as well. Yep. That is going to be up giving people a hand at rifle. And then we're going to do collaborations. We're going to do some night stuff. We're going to do some networking. We're going to do a lot of things to actually help people build and run whatever you do behind the scenes so we can stop losing so many people that phase out so quick because they have to keep focusing on a regular job because they don't know how to make this thing work, or they don't have the network, or they don't have the business acumen, whatever it is. We want to give you more than just, hey, come to this event and shoot guns. No, hey, come to this event and let us help you become, an established entity in this business. So Train and Learn, that's Memorial Day weekend right outside of St. Louis, Missouri. And that's the big thing that's coming up for me.
Yeah, and that's for people that want to know more about it. nootherchoice.com/train and learn, or just nootherchoice.com, and then right on there, it's in your navigation, right? NOC Train and Learn.
Yep.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm looking at the page now on your website.
All right, so people are asking some questions about the books, or talking about books. What are the books going to be about? I mean, you every time I listen to you, it's always an education, and I always find myself doing a hell of a lot more listening than I do talking when I'm hanging out with you. And so, what are these books going to be about?
The second one, I'm going to hold on to that for a while. The first one though is, there's this country, as great of a country as it is, every person, every country, every employer, every business has a flaw, right? And many, honestly. And one of the flaws that we have is refusing to understand, looking at things through other people's perspectives, being a little bit more tolerable. I don't know if that's just because of maybe a lack of mature evolution or access to information is so fast, and we can look at clips and judge individuals and people or whatever the case may be. Right. But there's one thing that I want people to understand when it comes to, in particular, well, particularly men in this country, and especially our younger men. And when I say younger men, I'll go 40 and down, right? Yeah. But what's happening is that people are so headstrong on judging and telling men what manhood is. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are women. And it's not to say that a woman isn't great. I love women so much. I married one. However, it is not their job to tell us how to be a man. Just not. It's just not. There are certain things that cross, like, sure, a man should take care of his children. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a given, right? So, yeah, I can see them giving pushback on things like that. However, when we talk about men and what they go through and being emotional creatures, in many households, you weren't allowed to be a young man, a boy, and express emotions, right? And you see it all the time, and people don't mean any harm by it directly, but it's, a boy falls, an 8-year-old boy falls off his bike, scrapes his arm up real good. Yeah, we don't want him to cry, right? Because one of them saying, hey, get back on that bike and keep going. That's one thing, but there's also that pain that you can't touch. That's that emotional pain that people are experiencing that you can't put a Band-Aid on, that you can't say, hey, look, it's not that bad. Let's get over it. Let's keep going. Right. And a lot of individuals in this country have become judgmental of men being emotional. If a man shares his emotion, if he cries, if he says, hey, that affected me, that made me feel away, that hurt my feelings, then a lot of individuals are saying, hey, you're soft, you're this, you're that. Well, people have to understand, when men get older, their suicide rates go up, right? Because they're frustrated, they're tired, they've tried to communicate, it's not working, they feel the pressure of the world on them, they're being judged like everybody in the world is judged. Lord forbid, if they have a family to take care of, they're stressed about that. If they go through some kind of life change, they're going to be stressed out about that. So I wanted people to understand that the pain is only going to come out one of two ways. Either you want men to express themselves, be okay with talking, especially our younger men, especially the younger ones, because they become these damaged adults, right? Either you want them to be okay with talking, you want them to be okay with communicating, you want them to be okay with expressing how they feel, you want them to be okay with that. And you want them to be okay with tears. You want them to be okay with crying when it calls for it. Or you get the tears, or you can get the terror, because you're going to get one of the two. So you can either allow them to express themselves in a healthy way that might look like it's quote unquote soft, depending on who's judging that, or you just want them to explode. You want them to become combative. You want them to all of a sudden one day snap, have too much or had too much, and all of a sudden this individual is responding in an unkind way, hurting someone, whether it's stabbing, running them over with a car, shooting them, whatever the case may be. So I want to put it out there to let men know, especially younger men though, but it can apply to all ages, that it's okay. It's absolutely okay. And that in my particular ethnic community, in the Black community, it is really frowned upon, for it to be a young Black kid with emotions. And then when we see a lot of these young boys that are reacting harshly, literally, a shoe step could get you shot and killed, right? Because they're already so pent up with other frustrations, and they don't have room to express how they feel, maybe about their environment, maybe about something personal they're going through, or whatever the case may be. So you see this explosion of violence out of men because society has told us that it's unacceptable for us to do the softer expressions of how we feel. So either you hide it and it blows up, or you attempt to express it, you're ridiculed, and you blow up from that. So that's the concept. Either you're going to get the tears or you're going to get the terror. You get to choose.
That's fascinating. When my, I've said it before, but my grandfather had shot himself with a shotgun, and killed himself. My dad was 11 at the time. And the first time I seen my dad cry, and actually it wasn't even really seeing him cry, we went to watch Saving Private Ryan. It was the first time that we'd ever gone to the movies together or anything. And he cried in that movie. And that was the first, and I'd say probably one, other than the recent cancer scare that he's had. Those are probably the only two times, maybe a handful of times I've ever seen my father cry. So it's, I know exactly what you're saying. And I think that's because of what he went through as a kid and having to be a man of the house. And he just, had a grow up quick. And I think that was a lot of the holding in those emotions.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that happened, but yeah, it's one of the consequences of us not always being able to express ourselves.
For sure.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, did you already put B. Harris's up, Charlie?
I did. Which we can move right into. Brian says, B. Harris says, what's your guys' take on the Sacramento shooting and Biden's talk of more federal gun control, ghost guns, etc.? Any thoughts?
What do you think,
Andy? Or you?
Anybody? Well, I haven't read anything today about it. I did see some stuff. I think it was yesterday, and it seemed like it wasn't a mass shooting in where somebody went in. From what I got, it wasn't a mass shooting where someone went in and started shooting a bunch of people. It looked like some sort of a big fight between a bunch of people, and a couple people had guns, and they weren't supposed to have firearms already. So making more laws to say that it's more illegal is probably not going to work, because I don't think these guys should have had guns anyway. And I know some stuff came out today. I think they found they found a couple of people they think are the suspects, and that's all I got.
Yeah, the whole story of, if it leads, it bleeds, and never let a good tragedy go to waste. That's reminisce there. That's what they're going to do, regardless if they shouldn't have had guns in the first place, and the laws that are already in place didn't stop them from getting guns, or they maybe the bail reform had something to do with it. Like they have here in New York. Maybe they just catch and release. Maybe they should have held them overnight. I don't know. It's sad when something like that happens first, and then it's second sad when a politician decides to use that to try to push more gun laws that didn't even stop them in the first place.
Yeah, I'm not. This is what my response to it, because I know that happened over the weekend, right? This recent weekend. I haven't been truly informed of it because I was busy up in St. Louis at my buddy's Prime Protection XTL at their new location, their gun store. And on that particular day, I believe that shooting happened. One day we were celebrating their grand opening, and on the second day of the grand opening of their new location, we brought in over 60 children and taught them firearm safety to prevent accidents from happening in the homes. So unfortunately, while that incident happened in Sacramento, and Joe Biden and whomever else that wants to take advantage of that to restrict Americans' rights, I was actually out participating in an event that I was invited to, helping teach over 60 children and 40 parents about how to avoid those kind of tragedies and accidents inside the home. So my response to Joe Biden or anybody else that wants to restrict our rights when something unfortunate happens is I hope I'm always in a place in the world to encourage the same amount of people that are trying to discourage.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you do that. We used to do a lot of the hunter ed courses here, but New York, once COVID happened, New York put them online. So I'm not doing them anymore. We could still do them, but the numbers are so low, it's kind of doesn't make sense to, because the online version. So DJ Play Nice had put up the mass shootings or mass killings. Yeah, that one. And I like to call them active killers, not active shooters, because whatever they're using, right, no matter what they are, they're trying to do a heinous act. Their goal is to kill somebody. What does it matter what the tool is? I used to promote it that way, but it's funny. Pincus said he used to promote it that way back in the day, but it wasn't getting as much traction because of the keywords and stuff. So that's why he would do it the other way. Just like, well, you're probably familiar with this, Katie. Leosa versus HR 218. So I'll promote it as HR 218 and Leosa, and I've had some law enforcement, it's not HR 218, it's Leosa now. And I'm like, yeah, but people know it as HR 218 also, so gives me good keywords, good, Google search hits.
It's one of the things a lot of us talk about is trying to take the language back and not call it a mass shooting, call it an active shooter, or certainly not calling them ghost guns, calling them homemade firearms, or
the correct term.
Yeah, exactly. And it's God, it's hard to, I don't want to say it's hard to take the language back. It's something we've got to be firm with and say, no, it's not a ghost gun. It's a homemade firearm. He's not an active, DJ Play Nice, he's talking about an active killer, right? He's an active killer. I I do the same sort of thing. I call them murderers. There was a murderer. There wasn't an active shooter.
Right.
Call it what it is, man. There was somebody that was intent on killing and murdering people and hurting people. And I think this is really important for us to do, even though it might not get the traction that it needs. We still need to stay true to what it really is.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the whole political words and the way they use words. We had Ashley on, and Ashley, we were talking about ghost guns and assault rifles and such. Just those terms. Words, man, it's words.
Words do matter.
They do. They do.
Absolutely. So Warsaw Patriot here says what we need to do is put a stop to repeat offenders and stop the catch and release in all of our states in the USA.
So that's a good point too, and I like your input on it, KD. So here in New York, they passed bail reform, and they basically tied the hands of a lot of law enforcement and a lot of judges. I mean, I should say all law enforcement and all judges, including DAs as well. And they made it originally. I think it was all major heinous felonies and like 7 misdemeanors or something like that, where basically they'd get released ROR'd on their own recognizance to go out and do whatever they want. I had a Syracuse police officer a couple years ago taking a class, and he said they caught a guy 4 times, detained him 4 times, gave him an ROR. Finally, the 4th time they were able to remand him. It's like, I get it. Nobody should be spending time in jail without due process, but my thought is put the money towards the court system. Don't do it towards the side where it infuriates me how they do that.
For serious offenses, right? For serious offenses, I'm going to be on the side of. I'm going to be on the side of let's make sure we're doing our due diligence
for sure
to keep someone in a safe place for somebody else is not at risk, right? I'm always going to side with that. So yeah, anything serious, I'm going to always side with. If you got enough, which I would assume. Let's make an assumption here. I would assume that you have enough. To hopefully when the prosecuting attorney gets it, for anybody doesn't know, in most areas, cop makes the arrest, takes them down to whatever the detention facility is at their disposal. Normally within the next morning, they're in the prosecuting attorney's office or whatever you have in your area, filing for, charges and it's made. But the bail system is going on anyway. So if a guy can make bail at 4:00 in the morning before the charge can get to the prosecuting attorney, it just goes through pretrial release, which is normally what's available, and then they can get out. But so the serious stuff, yeah, I'm gonna err on the side of caution. Just hope that something can be done about that. When we start looking at the non-violent charges, then I'm not really. I think that let people go home. The one is if you have a lot of non-violent charges, then you overflood the detention facilities. They can't hold all those people. Sure. And you start treating somebody with a suspended license where you're stuffing them in like damn near unhealthy and inhumane conditions because they have a suspended driver's license, right? So, or even a city ordinance violation where you can technically hold somebody for 24 hours. Right. Let them go home, right? So stuff like that, instead of holding them for a $300 bond for a ticket that's only $100. So I'm kind of split. For the lower nonviolent stuff, yes, I'm with it. Let people go home. Tag them in court if they're really guilty of whatever the small nonviolent crime is. For the major stuff, murder, rape, assault, ag assault and things like that. Even I'll even say domestic assault, of anything above a 3rd degree. I would say that people should be held at minimum until the circuit attorney has time to review the charges and maybe put their 2 cents in about what bail should be.
So totally agree, 1,000% with that. And I think that was kind of the bill of sale that New York State pitched, that this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it so people that, get their due process. But it's gone awry. I had a lunch meeting with a local county judge about a month and a half ago. And he said that by the time that these people get to him, the charges are so stacked up that there's no way the DA is not going to give them a deal or anything. So, even in that aspect, it kind of taints their ability to try to reform them, if you will. I think the money should go more towards the courts to try to speed the process up, or hire more court officers, hire more DAs, more assistant district attorneys. That would be the smarter way to spend the money and make a bill.
Hmm. Yeah, it's. I mean, a lot of times we have a revolving door of justice, and I see in the local news stories about people that are arrested a number of times for drug charges and illegal firearm possession and everything, and it's it gets a little ridiculous that you keep seeing this stuff over and over and over, and they'll have 6 or 7 different charges for illegal possession of drugs, illegal possession of firearms, and just it's frustrating to read and know that this stuff is out there. Know these people are out there and they're getting out and back. But I don't want to say back in the streets, but they're back out and doing what they were doing before.
There's a kid locally that's held up Boeheim, Julie Boeheim, and so Syracuse University, Syracuse Orange. It's the coach's wife. Ended up holding her up with a BB gun, but he was 15 years old. Ended up, I think, stealing her purse and a bunch of stuff. It's but he actually had a bunch of other charges or pending charges or something. There was one guy that went around from end of December to like middle of January robbing different convenience stores, and you get arrested, released. So by the time it actually got to court in front of the judge is like, yeah, there's nothing I can do for you, dude. You've just done multiple crimes back to back.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's going to be, I have a lot of issues with our system in general. I think there's
Yep.
Even though I know everybody always likes to focus on, the boys in the cars. I'm like, man, if you really go to the top of this thing all the way down, there needs to be all kind. There's more reformed, in my opinion, in doing the suits than it is in the uniforms. So in a lot of different ways, and a lot of individuals, when it comes to, I'm sorry, guys, I got to hear this real quick.
All right. Well,
okay. Sorry about that. I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm just coordinating something. My daughter has to be moved around.
That's right.
But I think the letting someone who is showing you that they are putting people's lives at risk, right? Because just robbed a store. Yeah, he just didn't press the trigger that time, right? Like if there's a gun or a knife or whatever, he just didn't stab the person that time. And I think that realistically, one thing that the system does, I don't need, like, we call it correction. You ain't correcting nothing, right? Let's stop saying that. I think that you're not correcting, all right? You're giving people time to think, but you're not correcting them. But what you can do is, let my tax dollars and your tax dollars, if somebody is out there putting life, limb at risk, keep them somewhere else from us, right? Once they prove themselves to be that way, unless they truly show you, okay, you paid your debt, right? Let's say the armed robbery gets you 5 years. I don't know. You paid your debt. Now, you're back out and you do it again, then the consequences escalate. But say, oh, I robbed, 4 convenience stores by the time you got around to my court date for the first one, when you keep letting me out on RRR, I think that's not only silly, it's putting people's lives at danger.
For sure. 1,000%.
Well, that kind of leads to this question from B. Harris. If there's a right to keep and bear arms, where is the line drawn when someone can or can't carry a firearm? Is it simple possession, or does it have to be a crime committed with a firearm? I think this is one of the things that I think I struggle with, and I think it ends up being some bigger issues as well. If somebody goes to jail for something, they serve their time, they get out. Should they be free? Should they be able to vote? Should they be able to have a gun? Like, they still should be able to protect themselves, but should they be able to have a gun? And if they can't have a gun, why not? You know what I mean? And this is one of the things that I think I struggle with. I'm like, all right, well, if you're a criminal, you shouldn't be able to get a gun because you've committed a crime. But if you served your time, if you've done your sentence, you're out, you're back to being a free man or a free woman. You know what I mean?
I think they should have their rights restored. I mean, if you've done your time and it's like your kids, your kid does something wrong and you send them to their room or you punish them for doing such. They can't watch TV tonight. They come out, they say they're sorry. They've learned, and then, they get their rights restored. I think that should be the case. I mean, that's simplifying it for sure. Obviously, sure. If it's something that's committed with a firearm, I think that probably might be something that we don't restore their rights. But if it's because you basically have a felony, any felony at all. I mean, tax evasion felony, right? And you're going to have your rights taken. I mean, because the government, I mean, taxation without representation, right? I mean, we know the government's abusing our money now. And just like Dinesh D'Souza, how, the government went after Dinesh and was able to get him on a felony. So now he has no ability to touch firearms. Exactly. Like Warsaw Patriot said.
I'm a believer in white collar crime, anything that didn't involve anyone else getting hurt. Mm-hmm. I don't care what category you put it in. You give people their rights back. They didn't hurt anybody. That's like it's a no-brainer. Not only their all their rights, they should be able to vote. Because my argument has always been: you take a person, let's say, was locked up for felony possession of a controlled substance, right? Not distribution, even just felony possession of a controlled substance, and
Hold on a second. We got an update here. Tony Simon is excited that we have on Argo J. This is amazing.
Yeah, Cody on the water, really nice guy. Appreciate him coming in tonight.
I think Cody hijacked Tony's account.
He probably did. I'm pretty sure he did. You normally do.
That's funny.
I think that anybody, if you're hit with possession of a controlled substance, right? You say you go, wherever you go for, say, a year, right? Mm-hmm. When you come back, you're probably going to be on probation, not parole, probably probation, but let's just say probation, parole. You're going to be told to get a job, right? They're going to tax your check.
Yeah.
And whenever you go buy a thing, you're going to be paying taxes. But I can't vote for the person who's taxing me.
That's fair.
That's crazy. So no, I think that the right should be restored. Now, obviously, when we get into the more violent things, my thing has always been, let's go to extreme. Let's say attempted murder, right? Say they do 15 years for that. That's a lot of time that a person could absolutely change their life, right? Just on their own.
Sure.
Right? Could absolutely think about things differently. I think in those situations, there should be a review. So if they want to file for restoration of, let's say, their firearm rights, then I think there should be a review. Like, let's just not say, no, you tried to kill somebody. Right? No, let's have a conversation. Why? Was it self-defense gone wrong? Was it maybe we had different laws back then, and so that's where we categorized you at?
It's a great point.
Is it more into it? So why not have a review of that person, right? And let that happen. Now, there's something that happens with that now. There's a organization that gets a lot of slack that I support. It's called Felons with Firearms. And Felons with Firearms, the young man, what he does is he goes around and he shows individuals, he'll either do it for you or show you how, if you've been hit with a felony, how to actually get in front of a judge, and a judge reviews your case. And in many times he's shown where states have restored individuals' gun rights based off that review. Yeah. Right. So so that's just not saying, so for the people that would be anti-gun, let's say, they can't just go around and say, oh my God, they're giving, because that'll be their next talking point, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, they'll give anybody a gun, blah, 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 blah. Well, in those extreme circumstances, attempted murder, felonious assault, whatever, mm-hmm. There's a judge that is looking at these cases and having time to look at the person, look at the exact details. What codes did we use then? Is this felony now a misdemeanor? Did we even reduce what it is? And so now they can look at those things and then make a determination with a lawyer and everybody sitting there and say, okay, yeah, we believe this person is not a threat to society, even though we called them a felon, categorized them as a felon. Now they have the rights back. So that's how I feel about it.
All right. So Warsaw Patriot here says, now, if a guy did time for drunk driving or a serious bad car accident and he had killed someone, years later he's changed and did his time, can he restore and get his rights back?
I mean, my family will probably never forgive you, so be careful. But as far as, it's not, I don't know. I fall back on my Christian beliefs at times with things, and I don't have a heaven and hell to put anybody in, right? I used to have cages to put people in, and I used a lot of them. But I don't have a heaven and hell to put you in. So the drunk driving analogy, yeah, that sucks. Don't do that. Don't put people and that's my thing. Like, don't put other people at risk. That's kind of where your freedom stops, right? Yeah. Is when you start putting mine in jeopardy. But let's say it happens and you do it, he kills somebody with a car, he does, let's say, 10 years for vehicular manslaughter. Well, the family will never agree that he should have his rights restored. But if he's suffered, if he's paid, if he's no longer going to do those things and he comes out, I think, it's a felon. It's a charge like every other charge, because the person that we say, no, the drunk driver shouldn't have their rights restored. Well, how is the family going to feel at a guy that, beat their brother with a baseball bat? And we're saying that his rights should be restored, right? They're all going to feel the same.
All right. So someone just asked about felons with firearms, and I popped it on the Google machine. And the first thing that comes up here in Massachusetts, it says, Massachusetts does not have a specific statute governing felon in possession of a firearm, possession of a firearms crime. Instead, state law provides it's illegal for anyone without an LTC or an FID to carry a gun, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, just another way of saying, have you had a background check?
Right.
And did you pay the state for your rights? That's all they're saying.
Yeah.
Felons with firearms is I don't know what his actual website is. I guess I should know. I know his Instagram is Felons with Firearms.
Yeah, I've seen him on Instagram. That's how I originally.
Yeah, it's group. Nope, not forearms, firearms. Everybody has a forearm. Well, most people do anyway. I just want to be careful about that organization.
I love this. I'm Googling. All that comes up is how to get your rights restored if you're a felon. Criminal gun.
He might not, and that'll be a shame if he doesn't have a website. But for right now, anybody that's looking, you can put into your search engine on Instagram, and I know it's there, Felons with Firearms. I actually paid for one young man. He went through the legal process, had his charge reviewed. Judge overturned it. There was a small fee. It was like $100 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So for him, and then he also wanted to educate people about doing the right thing so you don't have to lose your rights again. Like he had a whole turnaround. So I paid for that young man's, I paid for his restoration fee. I paid it back to him once he went through it. And actually he came to a gun event that we did in Richmond, Virginia with Trenchworth Chronicles. He came to that event. And at that event, he approached me and said, hey, I'm the guy that you paid for, that awesome. You reimbursed to have his rights restored. And we stood and we talked for like a good 15 minutes. And this guy is like turned into a 2A angel. He was like, the worst thing that ever happened to me was I lost my freedom. And now that I understand what it's like to lose it, I want to make sure nobody else ever has to go through that again. So, and his thing was, and to see that, that you would come out and you would actually be supportive, like you didn't cast judgment because I had this felon title on me. You're like, no, I'll even pay it back if you go through the process and everything works out right. So for him, that even changed his mind about his words, not mine, about what he thought gun people were, that we were all sanctified and holier than thou and ready to judge. It's like, no, man, it's a case by case. We're all humans. Let's talk about it. And if there's room to help, let's help.
Mm. Yeah. You put this up earlier, Matt, is usually in some states, one charge, even a felony can be expunged after a certain number of years. I know at least it is in Michigan. I actually had someone on my show that I interviewed in Florida a few years ago, had a DUI in New York State. Wasn't a gun guy, didn't whatever. Obviously he enjoyed himself. Moved down to Florida, wanted to become a gun guy, had to spend a few $1,000s in legal fees to get the DUI charge expunged up in New York so that he can get his Florida carry permit.
Yeah. I know, like North Carolina, they also have a way you can expunge it. If you've never had any other run-ins with the court, you could ask them to remove it as if it didn't happen. Obviously it happened, but it's, it can be expunged. Right.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, obviously, if they've had one charge, then it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
So Brian, I certified Brian as a pepper spray instructor recently. He's down in Georgia. So he's saying that was it a first offender program in Georgia.
And in many situations too, and I think that's pretty awesome because I think a lot of times with the way that we view the word criminal, right? In this country, it could be used wild,
vast,
vastly,
right?
you know. And it's
sure.
like, man, look, I tell people the only difference really between probably the 3 people sitting on this panel right now and somebody that's categorized as a criminal is they got caught and we didn't. Right? Because can't tell me you didn't do something at 16, 17,
sure.
18, 19 years old that could still be sticking with you now as a criminal. We've all done stuff. And sometimes it's just we get away with it and other people don't. So I'm careful to judge with that.
For sure.
Oh, totally. I've had some people in classes that have pulled me aside and said, "Hey, listen, you know what? I had a DUI 17 years ago. Is this going to come back and haunt me?" And I'm like, you know what? I can't say, but I can tell you to call the police. Talk to your licensing officer and be completely upfront and say, "Hey, listen, this happened 17 years ago. I haven't had any speeding tickets. Haven't been in an accident. Haven't had any DUIs. Haven't been arrested for anything else. It's 17 years ago. I mean, I get that you do have to, you do have to not forgive and forget. You do have to. The people make mistakes. I get it. And I always say, this is why our parents told us not to hang out with hang out with certain friends of ours.
Yeah, don't hang out with Bobby. He'll get you in trouble.
I had a buddy in junior high who my mom went in for a meeting with the teacher, and she said, "Listen, don't hang out with this boy." And then my buddy's dad went in for a meeting, and he said, "Listen, don't hang out with Charlie." I get it. We were a lot of fun together. You know what I mean? But these things happen, and you do move on. You do change, and if you don't change, then man, you're not growing up. We all change on.
For sure.
Our attitudes about
For sure. Yeah, I always say you can rob a bank as many times as you want until you're caught. Then you'll have a problem.
Right.
This is Warsaw Patriot wants to get your chime in on this, KD. If we the people didn't have the Second Amendment here in America, we would have been invaded by foreign enemies like Russia and communist China decades ago.
Yes, and if we didn't have the 2A, our own government would have already done something way more heinous than we can even imagine to us already. So
probably
we would have just had different masters if China and Russia would have came, because we would have had our own government to truly worry about.
Yep. Be like England all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always I also tell students when they say, "Well, what do I tell the police? Well, I want to get a gun." And I say, you don't want to lie about things. You want to be able to protect yourself. We live in a dangerous world. You work out hours, carry large sums of money, whatever. But I say, don't tell them you want to overthrow the government. Do not tell them you want to shoot zombies, and do not tell them you want to shoot clowns, but have guns for all of those reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What you really don't want to be is a crazy person and say, I say, listen, you know what, if you're a DV survivor, absolutely, you should put that in there. If you were in an abusive relationship, put that in there.
Yep.
But if you say that your ex-wife is sleeping with all your buddies, do not say that. Yeah. That is a bad call.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get that. They don't understand. Like, if they've had a restraining order against somebody, I've had people say, "Well, should I put that down?" I'm like, definitely you need to put that down, because you've got a restraining order against somebody who's obviously threatened to do you harm.
Yeah.
There's things you put down. There's things you shouldn't put down.
Absolutely. And we got fans of Clint in here.
Yeah, look at that.
What's going on, Mr. Clint?
He says it's good. It's good to see yins, fellas.
Likewise.
Oh man. Patrick says, what does Patrick say here? There's a difference between a changed man and a man that needs to be changed. This is true.
Absolutely.
This is true.
Absolutely. Look, I got because of a lot of environments that I go into, because I'm never shy about saying I'm a kid from the slums, right? And so I still go back, I still outreach, I still put my hand out. We talk about, and I'm not there many times just talking about guns. Matter of fact, most of the time I'm not talking about gun stuff. We're talking about life and correction and looking at things different and changing our environments and our perceptions and the way we look at things. But there are individuals, when we do get into the gun conversations, there are absolutely some people I'm like, yeah, there's absolute hope for you, man. And then there are some other guys I'm like, yeah, no, we're not. Nah, we're just not gonna. No, move on to the next conversation. We're not even going to discuss firearms. So absolutely, you gotta know the difference between people.
Pick your battles.
So B. Harris asks, should we bring firearm training back to public schools like there used to be? There was less crime then. More people, the more people respect and are trained with firearms, the less violence, in my opinion. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. I've been a teacher in public and private schools for since the 1900s, and I always told people, listen, I carry a gun outside of school. I'm perfectly fine with teachers carrying them in school if they carry them outside of school. I don't want to force my thoughts and my beliefs on someone else. So if you don't want to carry a gun, that is totally cool. You don't have to. I carry a gun outside of school. There's more people that I see in stores outside of school than I see inside of school. And if they taught it in school, I think that would be great. I don't think, this would be great for someone like, Derek LeBlanc and the Kids Safe Foundation to come in and teach some BB gun safety and shoot some BB guns and stuff. Yeah. I certainly don't think, as a guy that teaches a specialist subject, the general music teachers, the general teachers, I don't think they should be teaching music or gym or art. So bring in some teachers that teach firearm safety and do it with BB guns, and I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, we actually have a school here in Central Square, I think, that's got a range in the basement where they used to teach firearms like that. And I remember back in the day, we'd go to school with a shotgun in the back of our pickup trucks. It's not that day and age anymore.
My son's school actually has and he's not in it because he's doing a couple other sports, so he's pretty busy. But they have a rifle team.
Nice,
right? So I think it's great. Educate them about it. Because here's my thing: we brought sex ed into the schools. I think a little bit to the grades that get access to it now. I think is a little bit extreme. However, I remember going through middle school in the 8th grade. That's when they offered sex education to us, and your parents got a chance to elect whether they wanted you in it or not, right? Which parents don't seem to have a say so when it comes to school now, but that's another conversation. But in high school, it was obviously there for everybody. And why do we educate kids about sex? Well, the argument was because it can hurt you if misused, right? It can cause, this horrible thing called child support, or it could cause this diseases and all kind of stuff, right? So what about firearms? Like every time, and my argument to parents all the time is whenever they're hesitant about educating their kids about guns or let anybody else do it, I'm like, every single time, even if there's not a gun in your house, every day your child breathes air, there is a gun somewhere in the vicinity of them. I don't care if it's just on the hip of the cop driving down the street. There's a gun somewhere, right? Yep. So why wouldn't you want them to know about that? Because it can also change and alter the course of their life, right? Yep. So there was a couple of young people that I know that have recently. One of them I don't know. I just met him really, really brief. But I'll just say he's less than 13 years old. And there's another young man I know who is just turning 14. And both of them have shot people on accident playing with guns, right? And we aren't thinking about how that affects them mentally and emotionally for years to come. So why not educate them?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. To go back to the train and learn, G-Web asked the question. Let me see if we can get to it. He asked about how's the turnout for the train and learn this year? What kind of ratio of attendees is returning this year versus returning alumni?
It's going to be very interesting this year. Normally, I will have those stats this year. My guesstimation would be, as far as alumni, we're probably looking at about a good 35 to 40% return rate for alumni, which I want alumni to always come back, but I also want new people to come, right? So sure. I always want alumni to come back, but we are going to be challenged with some alumni, and this is a good thing. It's a bad thing for me. We do have new attendees signing up. We want to push that more, because I always wanted to sell out, and it's only 60 seats available. But a bad thing for me is that alumni rate would be closer to 60%, but it's not, because the alumni that aren't returning now have contractual obligations with companies down at NRAM. So the bad thing is, oh man, they can't come. The good thing is they learned enough to actually know what a contract is. They have an obligation that should benefit them in their business to where they have to go, because now they went from having no business obligations to now having obligations that should, be pushing their mission or their company forward. So it's a good and a bad, but I would always take the sign of your business is growing, because that's what we want you to do. So congratulations to the ones that can't return because of those obligations.
Yeah, I'll be up in Chicago teaching the force-on-force civilian instructor certification in the pepper spray class on the weekend of the NRA annual meeting and exhibits. I booked it and then didn't realize it was the same weekend. And commitment, I'm going to Chicago. I'm not going to make it to NRA this year. But
Gotcha.
It happens. And big shouts out, by the way, speaking of Train and Learn, to Beth, because she will actually be on site and writing an article about it this year.
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to having her and kind of giving us a big write-up about it. And, and big kudos too, because, the 2A world, I think we're always, when it comes to the companies, we're always beating up on them, right? Mm-hmm. Crappy product, or didn't like this press release you put out, or whatever, whatever the case may be. But big shouts out to the individuals that the companies that have still committed to being there, from Tactical Life, Brownells, USCCA, Primary Arms, Carolina Custom Foam, Guns for Everyone, Black Guns Matter. We still have, and I'm not intentionally forgetting anybody, we have Cold Steel, Walker's Air Protection. We have a lot of companies that still stood up and even said, and even to the instructors, those guys could have elected to go do something different, but they all stayed put because they believe in what we're doing. So big shouts out to not only the organizations, but the people that are like, hey, I'll sacrifice a weekend in Houston to come up here and push what I want to do as an individual for, but also support this event.
Yeah, that's awesome. We actually just got word today that Next Level Training is going to be one of the sponsors, along with Mantis, for our show here, our live show. So excited.
Oh, that's congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't even think I told you that, Charlie. So surprise.
All the exciting stuff happens on air. So Don, from the first episode, lady, right. Beth Alcazar. That's right.
Lady.
That is right. Someone asked if, I think it was Warsaw Patriot, asked about if you've ever talked with Walk the Talk America, Katie.
Oh, I think it's ran by this jerk named Mike Sedini, and he's
got a bunch of tattoos, all big and muscular.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this other Jake, not from State Farm, guy that plays like this therapist. I think he just does it on TV. But no, Walk the Talk America, absolutely. I'm in constant communication with them. I've been knowing Mike back at his Eagle Import days. God, I'm old, but been knowing Mike for a while. Mike's a good buddy of mine. Like when I say a good supportive friend, like Mike's a buddy, and so is Jake. Good guys. We hang out every chance we get. We talk a lot. So yeah, I do know them in short, and have done things with them, and will always do more with them. Matter of fact, Mike Sedini was actually one of our presenters at last year's Train and Learn.
Nice.
So yes, absolutely.
So letting everybody know we've got 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna start pulling together the list of everybody for the winners. And it looks like Mr. Richard Staples is excited for the Train and Learn there, Katie.
Oh, well, Mr. Staples, we can't wait to have you, sir.
Very
awesome.
Very
awesome
cool.
And also we've got a soon-to-be student of mine in Nevada. I'll be doing the pepper spray instructor, Saber Red pepper spray instructor course coming up in Nevada. Okay. And this lovely lady will be in the class.
Very cool. Very cool. We have one coming out here in New England as well, June 4th and 5th. Yep. Where I'm hosting the pepper spray class on Saturday and the UTM class on Sunday. So that's going to be pretty cool. And we do have a few seats left. So if you're an instructor in New England, please check out the with the PS and Ed, AND PSAND ed.com and get the info to get you guys signed up.
Or
I don't know. Go ahead.
Or publicsafetyandeducation.com in case that's confusing.
There we go. So Joe Morse here. He wants to know how he enters the giveaway. Oh, I think it might be too late. I don't know. No, it's not too late. Check the bottom of the screen there, Joe. Check it out. If you read right on the bottom, dude. I was talking to one of our mutual friends today, and he was expressing some displeasure with our new show here, Matt. And he said he wishes it was in audio format, not just video format, because he's more of an audio guy.
But that would
So-
require a lot more work.
That's what I told him.
It's already
I said,
enough to
"Dude."
keep up with my main show and your main show, right?
Right.
We got our live YouTube, we got our audio for both of our shows, and then we got this live show. So
It's
I know,
I
Katie,
told-
you're all over the place. I'm always seeing your Instagram. You haven't done a lot of Instagram lives lately, though, have you?
No, I took I recently just came back. I took about 40 days away from everything.
oh, good
Work
for
on
you.
myself, reinvest in myself, reinvest in my family. I mean, heck, I think since SHOT Show alone, I'm down right a little bit over 30 pounds, and I wanted to get my weight back in control. I wanted to just focus on me and the ones around me. So I just I did that. Matter of fact, I did the Brownells 2A day because I'll do anything for Brownells. They're great. They're great people.
Awesome.
It's a good family over there. So I did the 2A day for them in St. Louis. Although I'm in Georgia, I went up to St. Louis, handled that for them. And after that, it was great. It was a great high to go off of, right? We got all those good Americans in one room, did some great stuff for the Second Amendment, and then I was like, okay, I'm taking a break, and took about 40 days away. So Instagram will be up and popping again. I even have the Stogies and Straps podcast, which both of you gentlemen are invited to be guests on down here in Atlanta, where we actually do that in studio, where we have relaxed conversation as gentlemen with cigars and, or not, if that's not your thing, and a soft drink. Me, I'm going to be sticking to water for a while now, just because I'm loving the way my skin is glowing after, a couple of 100 ounces of water a day and the weight loss and stuff like that. But
That's awesome.
I'm trying to stay away from the coffee and the creams. The creamer is what gets me.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Yeah, you know what? I used to be a
Speaking my language,
well,
Katie.
black and sweet coffee. A couple of coffee black with a couple of sugars. And I was hanging out with John Petrolino, visiting him, filming some shows down there in New Jersey. And, I stayed over at his place and I said I wanted some coffee with sugar. He's like, sugar? Really? Don't you drink it like a man? I'm like, oh. So since sometime last summer, black coffee, no cream, no sugar, no nothing, black coffee.
So bean water.
Yes. And
All right.
That's funny. I like a little bit of coffee with my cream and
Bean
sugar. That's how I usually do it. But yeah, that creamer, man, it gets you. I've been off coffee for a few days now, maybe a handful of days, and I've been running on the treadmill more. And once the weather gets a little better and a little drier, I'll probably be running around my back field. But all right, Katie.
I'm dealing with unfortunately, because of my activities, I'm dealing with what you can't see, but I have a brace on my knee now for damaging my MCL again. But that'll be off. I had some good progress over the last couple of days. That'll be off in hopefully a week, and then after that, I'll hit the gym hard again. And I tell everybody, like the guy that's like, hey man, I wish you could do your show like this and like that. And I get everybody just like is supportive, and it's really like a jolly thing when they say it.
For sure.
But if anybody doesn't know, man, the social media and running these platforms, this stuff it's a job. It's not
a lot of work.
It's not easy. It's a job. It can take a toll on you. You find yourself eating wrong. You find yourself stressed out.
Yep.
And you find yourself just all over the place. So it is. Trust me, like if you enjoy what these guys are doing, just keep supporting them, man, because it is not as easy as it seems. Not even close. It's a lot going on.
It is a lot of work, and I find myself anytime. It doesn't matter where I'm at. If I'm standing in line at the checkout, I'm pulling out my phone to see what's going on. Did I post something? Should I check something out? Was there a story out that I should be sharing or commenting on? Exactly. Unfortunately, it really tickles my ADD.
All right, Katie, before we're done here, and then Charlie's going to give you the rundown at the end. Give me a number between 1 and 24.
I'm counting how many. Let me see. 3. What is this? It's the year 2022. 15.
Okay, 15. The winner is Ron Hensley.
Ron
Hensley.
Congratulations, Ron.
Congratulations. Ron won a Mantis X10, a $250 value. Wow. What you need to do, Ron, is you need to. Are you emailing him, or are we?
Yeah, I'll email him. But if I'll email him, and then he can just respond with his contact info.
All right, very cool. One last comment. Charlie has some moves on the dance floor. Don't start that rumor, man. Do not start that rumor. I am an old fat white guy. I played in a band for 10 years. Yes, I can move if I have to. I actually am an award-winning dancer as well. I was in a local Dancing with the Stars, and I'm a first place winner. So I have a trophy for dancing, and
very cool.
I did a gungram. Did Funky Town as a gungram, and I did do some dancing in that as well. So
wow! So do we have to get you drunk to see you dance?
It's probably best if you just look at the gungram of Funky.
Gotcha.
Town, but,
gotcha.
Because you don't want to see what happens when I've had a couple of too many drinks. Anyway,
it's been awesome to have you on, KD.
No, it's been awesome being here, man. I was just getting comfortable.
I know, right? We thought about that. Like maybe we should make it a 2-hour show, but
I don't think our bladders will last.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Katie, how can people find you and all of your NOC, No Other Choice, firearm training?
All right. The biggest way is nootherchoice.com. Go to nootherchoice.com. I am one of the instructors on a PDN tour. So you can go there. You can find all the tour dates at nootherchoice.com. Click the training tab. There are also going to be other areas coming up. If you are trying to keep up on social media, if that's your thing, it's The Real NOC on all the social media platforms. I am the most active on Instagram. It's The Real NOC on all social media platforms. Also, check out stogiesandstraps.com if you are into you want to do something different, kind of absorb some different content, hear some different conversations. Stogiesandstraps.com. You can also follow that page on Instagram, just Stogies and Straps. That is how you keep up. The things we have coming up are obviously Train and Learn. I am going to be announcing the fact that I guess I should say be asking for support. We are on the brink of doing something really, really interesting down here in Georgia when it comes to a freedom community based platform. We're going to mix guns and community outreach on our own private land. So it's going to be really, really nice. So you're not only going to be able to come get great firearms training from, basic stuff all the way up to your advanced stuff, but you're going to be able to get educated in other ways. So we're going to have literacy classes for adults and children on the property. We're going to have tutoring, mentoring, general community outreach. We're going to teach everyone how to live off the land. So you're going to learn gardening and how to harvest. We're going to teach people business economics. We're going to teach them, credit and financing and all type of things. And then you'll go a few acres that direction, and there'll be a firearms training going on. So
that's awesome.
We're going to do some rebuilding of the American spirit down here. So I will be asking for a lot of support with that. Right now, I will openly say, there's been some great support. There's a lot of money. I'll just leave it at that. That's went into getting the land secured. But now we're going to need the American people's support to actually get it up and function.
That's amazing. Well, anything I can do to help. I love homesteading. We've got chickens and bees. We're going to get goats this year and probably get sheeps and alpaca next year. And Steve here, Steve actually won recently, if I remember right. Steve is see that little maple syrup in his image there? Yeah, he does maple syrup, and that's something we're going to pick up this year and start doing again. I haven't done maple syrup in probably 7 or 8 years, so I'm hoping to start doing my own maple syrup this coming up next season, I guess.
That's good to know.
Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, listen, we need to wrap it up here. KD, thank you very much, man. Like I said, it's always an education. When you need more help plugging stuff, when you get the book coming out and everything done in your down in Georgia, let us know, man. We'll be glad to have you on anytime. We want to thank everyone else for tuning in and watching the show, whether you watched on the Facebook or the YouTube, whether it was the PS and Ed, the Meet the Pressers, Riding Shotgun with Charlie. It doesn't matter. We're glad you guys are here. Next week we have a Saturday night.
Yep.
Saturday night show with Thomas Yoxel, 8:00 Eastern. So you should tune in and check out the show with him. If you haven't subscribed to any of our YouTube channels, please do. Make sure you follow Katie in the social media. Yep. Check out Meet the Pressers, PS and Ed, and check out Riding Shotgun with Charlie. And we shall see you guys next week. Thank you very much.
Don't forget, we got Amanda Sufcool on Tuesday after that. And then Thursday is Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. So that is going to be awesome. I've never had the pleasure. Dude, I'm a little excited myself. Cool.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.